There will be various ways you communicate with your client throughout your project. Let's explore some best practices when communicating in different ways. One of the main channels of communication you will use will be email. At the beginning of your project, potentially even on your first day, we highly recommend creating a professional email account which the whole team has access to. This will ensure that all communication to and from your client will be through one account. You can avoid them receiving several emails from different members of your group asking the same question or trying to plan the same meeting. You may even want to consider giving the responsibility of client emails to one member of your team, so there is consistency in the tone of the email, and your client will also then address that one person. Always remember the potential pitfalls of written communication. There can easily be misinterpretation from either side, so make sure you read your emails back to yourself carefully, preferably out loud, so that you can ensure you've written clear information appropriate to the situation. If you or your team is confused about something your client has sent you, go back to your client and clarify that you have understood them correctly. Try to keep client emails as short and to the point as possible. You're much more likely to receive a quick response this way. Your client, just like you, will have incredibly busy workloads and may be working on multiple things at the same time. They might also be juggling care responsibilities because of this current lockdown and may even be homeschooling. So please understand it may take a day or two for them to respond to you. In a business environment, it is unnecessary to give lots of context via email. Just ask the question politely with appropriate pleasantries. You are much more likely to receive a quick response this way. If your client opens an email in the middle of something and sees a huge block of text, they may well mark it as unread and just come back to it later. Whereas if they open a short, succinct email with a question, they may respond straight away. Please ensure that you aim to respond to all emails the client sends you within a day, even if it's just a thank you if they have answered one of your questions. Finally, make sure that emails are signed off appropriately and formally. Use kind regards or best wishes or something similar ahead of your name. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone. If the client is available, they will answer it. If not, then leave them a voicemail. It's worth making a few notes if you have an initial phone call with your client and posting a summary of the conversation in a group chat for the whole team to be in the loop. Your video meetings with your client are also really important. Please ensure that you really utilise both your first and second client meetings and are prepared to ask all the questions that you need for your project to move forward. It is always best to practice and plan an agenda ahead of any meeting with your client so that your client knows what you'd like to discuss and maybe they can prepare accordingly. It is also advisable to send a follow-up email to thank them for their time and summarise your understanding of the meeting. So make sure you're making notes throughout to prepare for this. You can also refer back to this when you're working on your project to make sure you've really focused the outcomes on what your client is hoping for.